Hello. Simon Warren here from Psalm 71:17. For pitch part 2. This time we're going to talk about the bass clef and we're going to talk about flats and sharps. In the last video we talked about reading music. We're going to get a little more into that, but first off let's talk about the bass clef. Last video we talked a little bit about the treble clef. There's a second clef called the bass clef. The bass clef, you're very rarely going to pitch a song out of there, but sometimes you will. For example, the steadfast love of the Lord and humble yourself are songs you will pitch out of the bass clef. The bass clef contains the bass and tenor parts. So this is the lower region of the singing part. So let's talk about how to read the bass clef. I just want to teach you this. Like I said, you're not usually going to pitch a song out of the bass clef, but I'm going to teach you so when you sing a song like Humble Yourself, you're not terrified. Okay, so just like the treble clef, there are 5 lines and 4 spaces in the the bass clef. Excuse me. And we're going to pop these up on the screen, hopefully. So, the first line is G. From the very bottom line of the bass clef is G. And then the second line in the bass clef is B. The third line in the bass clef is D. The fourth line in the bass clef is F. And the fifth line in the bass clef is A. The way you can remember this is good boys do fine always. Good boys do fine always. Now let's talk about spaces. There are 4 spaces in the bass clef. The spaces are A, C, E, and G. The way you can remember this is all cows eat grass. Alright, so the bass clef, not that hard to understand. However, flats and sharps are a little bit tricky. So to help explain, here's a keyboard. So, don't worry, it's not even plugged in. There's not going to be any sound. I'm not being liberal or anything. So anyway, flats and sharps. So you have your basic keys. This is not a full keyboard. It's a very cheap yard sale keyboard. Okay, so you have your regular notes. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then back to C. There is your C octave, 8 notes. Now, flats and sharps are right here. They're in what we call the black keys. This is where the human voice sings. Of course, we don't sing with a piano, but it's really easy to explain flats and sharps with the piano. So, you have your C octave here, and then in between those are these 5 notes, flats and sharps. All right, so every note does not have a sharp. They're going to say it did, but it does not. Okay, let me just go through the sharps for you. The sharps are C sharp, D sharp, F sharp, G sharp, and A sharps. And the flats are D flat, E flat, G flat, A flat, and B flat. Now I'm sure you're wondering, why does every note not have a sharp and why does every note not have a flat? Well, like I said, there's 8 notes and only 5 black keys, flats and sharps. So that's why not every note has a sharp or a flat. C does not have a sharp, E does not have a sharp, excuse me, and C does not have a flat, and B does not have a sharp, and F does not have a flat. Because if F had a flat, it would just be E, and if C had a flat, it would just be B, and if B had a sharp, it would just be C. So it's really hard to explain. Hopefully the keyboard is making it a lot easier to understand. Alright, so you're thinking, what's the difference in sound with flats and sharps to regular notes? Like, why is C sharp different from just natural C? Well, not too much of a difference. There's only half a step up in difference in pitch. Like, C sharp is in between D and C, pitch-wise. C is just a natural C, but C sharp is slightly higher than C natural, and D is just a half a step higher in pitch to C sharp. So, I'm sure you're asking, like, how does this apply to pitching a song? Let's talk about keys in a scale. First off, what is a key? Let's talk about C major for a second. C major is this. Yes, I found it. C major is this right here. I'm looking at it backwards, so it's very hard to figure out. So anyway, C to C is an octave. C to C is also a key. The C scale does not have any flats or sharps to have the major sound. See, certain keys have to have either flats or sharps to get a certain sound. Every key needs to have a major sound or a minor sound. Most of the time you're not going to pitch songs in minor keys, so we're not going to worry about minor keys. We're just going to talk about major keys. So some keys have to have a sharp or a flat to make them major. So like C, it's just naturally major. It does not need to have any flats or sharps. But look at D major, it does have to have at least one. It has to have F sharp right there. And it goes, some keys have a lot of sharps, like B. B major has 7 sharps in that key. So that is what a key is. Key determines what it sounds like. Like C major is just a C major scale. Doesn't have any flats or sharps. D major is a D major scale, but to make that major, it has to have that F sharp. So I hope that was a reasonable explanation of keys. There are other videos if that did not explain it well, because it is confusing. It's very confusing. So hopefully I made it a little bit easier to understand, because you do need to know this for song leading. Like I said, you do check other sources on YouTube or books or anything to figure out what a key is. So now you're asking yourself, how do I know what note is flat and what note is sharp in a key? So let's take a look in the song book. Let's do number 9. This is, I don't have my this is Praise for the Lord songbook. Number 9 is A Wonderful Savior. Okay, so let's take a look at this together. If you look behind the 6-8, don't worry about that. We'll talk about that in the next video or videos to come. 6-8. The number 6-8, it's in front of the treble clef. And so you see two, what you appear to be hashtags. It looks like hashtags, but they're called sharps. So what you do is, you look at where the sharp is. So I see that one sharp is on F, and one sharp is on C. You read sharps like you read notes. Like, I'm going to go F, A, C, and I see that that sharp is on the C space. And then I'm going to go lines, every good boy does fine, and I see that that sharp is on the high F line. So I see that the sharps here are C sharp and F sharp. And I'm going to show you a trick to find keys. If you look in the bass clef, at the bottom note in the bass clef, I see that that note is a D. I go, good boys do. And I see that that is a D. So this is the key of D major. That is the trick to find keys. 99% of the time, that is how I find keys. Sometimes it doesn't work, but the majority of the time, it is going to work. So this song is in the key of G major. What this means is, key of D major, excuse me. What this means is, F sharp and C sharp are going to be, and every time you see a C and every time you see an F, it is going to be a C sharp and an F sharp. It's not going to be like in regular music when you just see like an F and it has a sharp in front of it. That's not the way it's going to work. So when you see, that's why you have to check your keys here, because it's very complicated in song leading if you don't know that. So F sharp and C sharp. So every F and every C is going to be a sharp. Right, so this is going to apply the same way with flats. It doesn't just apply to the key of D major. It just applies with all sharps and all flats. If, like, it's an F sharp, the sharp is on the F line, all the sharps, all the Fs in the song are going to be sharp. Unless it is a natural. We'll talk about that some other time. I'll have another music thing. You're not going to see that very often, but if it has a square with lines sticking out on the side of it, it's not going to be a F. It's just going to be, it's not going to be an F sharp, it's just going to be a regular F. So if you see a sharp on the F high line, it's going to be an F sharp. If you see a C sharp on the C line, it's going to, all C's are going to be sharped. If you see it on a G, it applies with everything, even with flats. So that's how you tell if it's going to be a sharp to start or just an A to start. With this song, it's just going to be an A to start, but let's say if A Wonderful Savior started on a C, you would blow a C sharp because the sharp follows the C space. All right, let's talk about how to blow a sharp or flat on a pitch pipe. So here is my pitch pipe. So you have your regular notes here. You have high C and low C. That's your low C right there, Steve. That's your low C. That's your high C. So it goes C, D, E, F, G. See all the regular notes, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C. All right, so how you blow your sharps and your flats are right here. Like if it's A Wonderful Savior and it's an F to start, it's not in the real song, but let's just say it was, you would blow that right there because it's an F sharp. Now here's a trick. If it's a G flat, you're still going to blow that because G flat and F sharp are the same note, if that makes sense. And it's the same with all these. If you want to blow G sharp, you blow that. If you want to blow an A flat, you blow that. If you want an A sharp, you blow that. If you want a B flat, you blow that, and so on. So that's how you blow a sharp or flat on the pitch pipe. I hope this video has made sense. Probably didn't, because it's a very complicated thing, but don't worry, this is the most complicated thing we're going to talk about, hopefully. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching this video. It's a pleasure doing it for you guys. I hope you learned something about pitching a song in these 2 videos we made. I'm thankful that it wasn't, 8 months apart from the other video, it was a few weeks. Hopefully we'll get other videos out even quicker. Next thing we're going to talk about is probably going to be hand motions. Probably. Don't mark me on that. I might change my mind. But thanks you guys so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button and like this video. Thanks guys.